thank everybody for coming here today. I want to introduce you folks to a gentleman I'm proud to know, Mubarez Ahmed, who had done 18 years, almost 18 years in jail and prison for a murder he did not commit, 2 murders. I have filed today, we're announcing a $105 million lawsuit against the city of Detroit and the lead homicide detective, Ernie Wilson, who, frankly, as you'll learn here today, framed Mr. Ahmed for this murder, or these murders that happened in 2001. So we have Brady violations under the U.S. Constitution, due process violations, fabrication of evidence claims under the Fourth Amendment, false identification process, which is a due process violation under the Constitution. Those are the reasons we're suing. Now, to suggest $105 million, that's a lot of money. Of course it is. That's compensation for the loss of almost 2 decades of the prime of Mr. Ahmed's life. But the bigger picture is this. We want to hold Sergeant Wilson accountable. He's going to have to answer questions under oath to explain why it is that he framed Mr. Ahmed when everybody in the neighborhood, including the victim's mother, Lavelle Griffin's mother, and his brother Clarence, had told Sergeant Wilson this was a drug hit, a drug beef, and by the way, LaTanya White, the girl who was murdered, had been Little J's ex-girlfriend. This was a beef between Little J and Lavelle Griffin. That's how it went down. Clarence Griffin told Sergeant Wilson exactly what happened on the afternoon of the killing, play by play, and they just went with an anonymous tip, and next thing you know, Mr. Ahmed's in prison for 18 years. So the big picture is...
Can't anything else be done? I mean, the actions you're describing are criminal on the part of these police officers.
And here's the ironic thing. The police officers are sworn to uphold the law and to hold people accountable for their wrongdoing. But when they are committing wrongdoings and, frankly, crimes, there's statute of limitations. So when you have somebody who's been in for 18 years, 33 years for Darrell Siggers, 42 years for Laduro Watkins, the statute of limitations is long run on anything that can happen, and most of these folks are retired. So there's nothing that's actually going to happen to the police officers who are responsible directly for their misconduct. And so our system only allows for monetary compensation. That's the only thing we can do to balance the scales, to balance the harm that was done with some sort of justice. It's only money that we can do. We can't put the prisoners or the officers in jail for the most part, and including this case. But it's ironic when we talk about this is a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. But the focus groups, the jury research I've done, drove these numbers, and it drove them in the focus groups to an average of about $3 million per year of compensation, which we've learned through our research. And the reason it was is when as soon as the jurors, the mock jurors, heard that the officers couldn't be put in jail, that's when they said, we need to send a message. This has to stop. So yes, is it a lot of money? You're darn right it's a lot of money, but it's an awful lot of harm. You can't measure the harm.
When you had people telling you, listen, my brother was in the drug game. He was trying to kill this guy, Little J, and Little J was trying to kill him. So right there's your motive. And then the girlfriend, the deceased LaTanya White, dated Little J before this. So that tells you right there, this is who you go get. That anonymous tip phone call, when we asked him, can we see the report on it and everything, there was no report to an anonymous tip phone call that Spaghetti is the heir. He lives in Southwest Detroit. He did the shooting. I didn't know nothing. Honestly, God, I was at my mom and dad's house. The only thing I knew on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 14 squad cars come to Dearborn and arrested me for this murder. And if it wasn't for David Moran and the Innocence Clinic, I wouldn't be here. They had 26 student attorneys work on my case, investigated it for 9 years. And
I'm sorry, I'd be remiss if I didn't give thanks to some of the really important people in this case. Not only Dave Moran and the Innocence Clinic, but the student attorneys who worked for 10 years. 22 different students worked on this case. That's how long it takes to get somebody out of prison. It is so difficult to exonerate somebody once they're convicted. But Sarah Stapper, Carolina Valerie, Connor Lang are some of the more recent students that did a lot of the work. And then also the great work by Scott Lewis, a former investigative reporter, I'm sure you folks all know, from Channel 7 and Fox 2. He's the one who tracked down Julie Wheeler and got her to find out what she knew, and frankly, more so, what she didn't know, which is, I don't know Mubarez Ahmed. I've never talked to the police. I don't even know what you're talking about a murder. Julie Wheeler, he talked to Zora Clark, and she signed an affidavit showing exactly what I've told you about the single photo ID, the threats that she received from Sergeant Wilson, the fact that he visited her house 12 different times before trial. Visited her house. If he had done that and sent somebody to visit a witness's house, he'd be another felon for intimidation of a witness. That's a felony. So these are the things that they have to answer for. And I just, like I said, I don't mean to cut in, but I just want to make sure we give thanks to the people who are really responsible. I'm just fortunate enough to be able to ask the questions and try to get answers from my client.
Especially
see how this happened.
Especially Scott Lewis. Scott Lewis went out of his way. When he went to talk to Miss Julie Wheeler and asked her, they had said that they took her, the federal task force, took her vehicle to the homicide to do forensic on it and everything. When she was asked by Scott, was that true? She said nobody ever took her vehicle or her. No federal task force ever picked her up, took her to the homicide section. She said she didn't own a red vehicle like that. She said she's a registered nurse with the state of Michigan for 34 years. This lady doesn't know me. I don't know this lady, never met her in my life. And for them just to pick up innocent people and just throw them, in their lineup, there's consequences